beggars in our bank. Get out!
Let's go, ma'am.
What happened next would destroy careers, shock an entire bank, and prove that the most powerful person in the room is often the one you'd least expect. Quick pause. I'm curious, where in the world are you watching this from right now? I'm recording this from my little home studio, and it always amazes me when I think about someone in US or Jamaica, someone in South Africa, someone in small-town Texas all hearing Dorothy's story at the same time. Type your location below. I read every single one and it genuinely makes my day. I picked this story because it reminds me that behind every face is a whole universe of experiences. And Dorothy? Well, she's about to teach some very expensive lessons about assumptions. Let me take you to that marble lobby. It was 1 p.m. sharp. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, the scent of expensive leather and fresh coffee. A frail elderly woman pushed through the towering glass doors of Pinnacle Trust Bank on Fifth Avenue. Her faded floral dress rustled. Her worn cardigan hung loose on bent shoulders. That yellowed envelope crackled in her trembling, arthritic fingers. Every conversation stopped. Heads turned. Whispers began. Her wooden cane echoed against polished stone with each painful step. The woman's name was Dorothy Henderson. Nobody in that gleaming marble cathedral knew it yet. But they would. Here's what nobody could have imagined. Tomorrow, 3 careers would end. One person would become manager. And this helpless old lady would reveal a secret that CNN would cover by evening. Dorothy shuffled forward. Her orthopedic shoes squeaked against the floor like fingernails on glass. Behind the mahogany counter sat Brandon Walsh, 28, Harvard MBA, Armani suit pressed to perfection. Hair slicked back with $200 pomade. The kind of man who calculated human worth in stock options. Every designer-clad customer watched Dorothy's agonizing journey. She looked so wrong here. Like a wrinkled newspaper in a jewelry box. They were watching the most powerful person in the building. Brandon's manicured fingers stopped typing. Irritation flashed across his Botoxed face as Dorothy finally reached his marble throne. "Excuse me, young man." Her voice trembled like autumn leaves. "I think there's trouble with my account. My card stopped working." Brandon's eyes swept her clearance rack dress. Her cracked vinyl purse. Those sensible shoes with worn heels. He didn't even glance at the envelope she extended with shaking hands. Condescending smile. Perfect teeth. "Ma'am, are you sure you bank with Pinnacle Trust? Maybe you're thinking of a different type of institution? We serve a very exclusive clientele." The exclusive clientele were about to witness the most expensive mistake in banking history. Dorothy's voice stayed gentle. "Patient. Please, dear, could you just check? I've banked here since we opened." Since we opened. The words hung in the air like smoke. Brandon missed them entirely. Dramatic sigh. Eye roll worthy of a teenager. "Ma'am, this will take forever. You'll need to wait." He waved dismissively toward the corner without taking her envelope. "Sit over there. Someone will get to you, eventually." He had just dismissed the woman who could end his career with a phone call. Dorothy nodded. Her cane clicked rhythmically as she made her way to the leather chair in the corner. Behind her, the whispers grew louder. Security should escort her out. This is embarrassing for our image. Doesn't she belong at a community credit union? By tomorrow, the bank's reputation would be saved not despite her presence, but because of it. 1 hour crawled by. Dorothy sat perfectly still while Brandon served customer after customer. Each time he looked her way, his expression screamed, "Still here?" Finally, she approached again. "Young man, might I speak with your manager? This really can't wait." Brandon's jaw tightened. He grabbed the phone like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Victoria? There's this elderly situation here. No, definitely not a real client. But she's insisting. His eyes found Dorothy with pure disgust. Yes, ma'am. What happened next would be discussed in Harvard Business Review. Manager Victoria Sterling emerged from her glass office. Power suit, $3,000. Louboutin heels, $1,200. Attitude, priceless and about to cost her everything. She looked at Dorothy like she was gum on her soul. Ma'am. Victoria didn't move closer. I understand you're confused about your account? She was speaking to the woman who signed her paycheck. Meanwhile, in accounts processing, Michelle Rodriguez was returning from lunch. 26 years old. State school graduate. Paycheck-to-paycheck living. But she possessed something her Ivy League colleagues lacked. A functioning heart. She saw the elderly woman being treated like garbage. Something stirred in her chest. This is where everything changed. Michelle had stumbled across something in the old files last week. A name that kept appearing on founding documents. Dorothy Henderson. The signature looked familiar, but she'd been too swamped to investigate. Until now. As Dorothy sat ignored in that corner, clutching her mysterious envelope, Michelle was about to discover a truth that would flip this entire bank upside down. Because power doesn't always wear a suit. And respect isn't earned by your net worth. It's owed to every human being who walks through your door. What happens next will leave you speechless. Michelle's fingers flew across the keyboard. Something about Dorothy nagged at her. The way she held herself. That quiet dignity despite the humiliation. She was about to become the hero of this story. The founding documents loaded. Michelle's breath caught. There was Dorothy Henderson, founder, majority shareholder, 64% ownership. The homeless woman in the corner owned the entire bank. Michelle's coffee mug slipped from her fingers, crashed to the floor. Brown liquid everywhere. Victoria was now loudly complaining to another manager, "That vagrant is driving away our real customers. Why haven't we called security?" Victoria was 60 seconds away from the worst career mistake in banking history. Dorothy couldn't wait anymore. Every bone ached. Every joint protested. But she stood, began walking toward Victoria's office. Her cane announced her approach like a drumbeat of justice. Victoria saw her coming, stepped out, blocked her path like a bouncer at an exclusive club. "Ma'am, I told you someone would help you eventually. Go back to your seat." Dorothy's voice stayed calm. But something shifted. A steel core that 40 years of boardroom battles had forged. "Miss Sterling, I've waited quite patiently. I need you to examine the contents of this envelope." Victoria was too drunk on her own importance to hear the authority in Dorothy's voice. "Listen carefully," Victoria announced to the entire lobby. Volume cranked for maximum humiliation. "I don't know what scam you're running, but this is Pinnacle Trust Bank. We serve millionaires and billionaires. Not whatever this is. Security." The lobby went silent as a tomb. Dorothy stood perfectly still. Then, with the grace of someone who'd commanded respect in boardrooms across Manhattan, she placed the envelope on Victoria's desk with finality. "Ms. Sterling." Each word carried 40 years of business authority. "Open that envelope now." For 1 microsecond, Victoria's arrogance cracked. But pride won. Victoria grabbed the envelope. Without opening it, she thrust it back at Dorothy. "I don't care if you have the Declaration of Independence in there. Or I'm calling the police." That sentence just ended Victoria Sterling's management career. Dorothy nodded slowly, as if she'd expected exactly this response. She turned to the stunned lobby. Her voice carried to every corner, "I'll return tomorrow at precisely 11 a.m. When I do, everything will be very, very different." The way she said it made millionaires shiver. As Dorothy headed for the exit, Michelle made the split-second decision that would change her life forever. She grabbed the printout and ran. "Mrs. Henderson! Mrs. Henderson!" Dorothy turned. For the first time all day, someone had used her actual name. "You know who I am." Dorothy's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "Yes, ma'am. And I'm ashamed of how my colleagues treated you today." Michelle's voice shook with emotion. "This isn't the bank you built." Dorothy's first genuine smile of the day. "No, dear. But tomorrow, we're going to remind everyone what it should be." As Dorothy left, Victoria was frantically Googling Dorothy Henderson Pinnacle Trust. What she found made her physically ill. 10 a.m. Next morning, the same glass doors opened. But this time, Dorothy Henderson wasn't alone. What entered would be recorded on every security camera and shared on every social platform. Dorothy stepped inside first. But this Dorothy was transformed. Navy Chanel suit. Silver hair perfectly coiffed at the Pierre's salon. She moved with the confident stride of someone who'd built financial empires. Behind her, Sarah Chin, Esquire, senior partner at Morrison & Associates, carrying a briefcase that contained the power to destroy careers. The transformation was so complete that half the staff didn't recognize yesterday's victim. But Victoria Sterling recognized her. The color drained from her face like water from a broken dam. Brandon watched in confusion as this distinguished woman approached his counter. Then recognition hit. His face went white as fresh snow. "Good morning, Brandon." Dorothy's voice carried boardroom authority now. "Time to finish our conversation." The envelope that had been ignored yesterday was about to become evidence in a discrimination lawsuit. Sarah Chin placed official documents on Brandon's marble counter. The papers made a sound like thunder in the silent lobby. "Mr. Brandon Walsh, you are hereby terminated from Pinnacle Trust Bank. Effective immediately. Security will escort you out." Every conversation stopped. Every phone call ended. Every keystroke ceased. Brandon's voice cracked like a teenage boy's. "You can't? Who are you people?" Dorothy stepped forward. Her voice filled the cathedral-like space. "I am Dorothy Henderson. I founded this institution 37 years ago with a simple principle: treat every human being with dignity. I own 64% of its shares. And yes, Mr. Walsh, I absolutely can terminate your employment." Gasps echoed off marble walls like gunshots. Victoria Sterling rushed from her office. Her composure shattered like crystal hitting concrete. "Mrs. Henderson, I'm so sorry. If I had known, I never would have." "Stop." Dorothy's voice cut like a blade. "That's exactly the problem, Miss Sterling. You knew how to show respect. You chose not to. Not because you didn't recognize me, but because you thought I didn't deserve it." This moment would be taught in business schools for decades. Sarah Chin handed Victoria an envelope. "Miss Sterling, your management position is terminated. However, Mrs. Henderson is offering you a role in community outreach, visiting senior centers to ensure we serve all demographics with respect." A demotion wrapped in mercy. Dorothy turned to the stunned lobby. "Michelle Rodriguez, please join us." Michelle approached on unsteady legs. Was she in trouble for helping? "Michelle." Dorothy's voice warmed like sunshine. "Yesterday, you alone showed kindness to a customer in need. You saw a human being, not a balance sheet. That tells me everything about your character." Sarah Chin extended an envelope to Michelle. "Congratulations. You are now branch manager of Pinnacle Trust Bank. Effective immediately." Kindness had just been promoted to the corner office. Dorothy addressed the entire lobby. Her voice carried authority built over 4 decades. This bank was founded on one principle: every person deserves dignity. Yesterday, most of you failed that test. Starting today, under Michelle's leadership, we remember what customer service means. She moved toward the exit, then paused. I'll be conducting surprise visits monthly. Treat every customer like they might own this place. Because sometimes they do. Dorothy and Sarah Chen exited through the same doors where, 24 hours earlier, Dorothy had been dismissed as irrelevant. Michelle stood in her new office, watching employees who had just learned the most expensive lesson of their careers. Within hours, the story exploded across social media. #BankOwnerInDisguise trended globally. The video of Dorothy's transformation hit 50 million views in 3 days. Major networks covered the story. Harvard Business School added it to their curriculum on customer service and unconscious bias. But the real change happened in that marble lobby, where every employee learned that true power isn't about what you wear or how much you earn. It's about how you treat people when you think nobody important is watching. Dorothy Henderson proved that somebody important is always watching. You just never know who it might be. Here's what I want you to do right now. Think about the last time someone judged you by your appearance. How did it feel? What would you have said if you had the power? Drop a comment below and tell me. Have you ever been underestimated because of how you looked? What's the most shocking, don't judge a book by its cover, moment you've witnessed? If you could give one piece of advice to the Brandons and Victorias of the world, what would it be? And if this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt dismissed, overlooked, or underestimated, hit that like button and share this with someone who needs to remember their own power. Because every Dorothy Henderson deserves to be seen, heard, and respected. What story should I tell next? Let me know in the comments.